In just the past few days, 4 school districts in St. Louis and St. Charles County sent letters home to parents that many found alarming. The letters weren't about grades or discipline, but radiation. They laid out emergency plans for a potential worst-case scenario at the Westlake landfill where nuclear waste is buried and a nearby underground reaction is generating heat. Tonight, what are the risks? Should people near Westlake be worried? Stay tuned. Stay tuned brings together local experts, journalists, civic leaders, and regular people to have tough conversations for a stronger St. Louis. Add your voice to our conversation, and you're at the table as we stay on top of current events and go deeper, bringing more light and less heat to the issues that matter. From the 9 network of public media in Grand Center, this is Stay Tuned. So this is a wide-ranging topic that has generated some concern, some fear. So we want to be accurate tonight, and we want to be as thorough as we possibly can. So we're starting with Jacob Barker from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, who's been covering this story for over a year now. Thank you for being with us, Jacob. So let's maybe back up just a second, because for some people this may be an issue, a topic, even if they live relatively close by to Westlake landfill, that they hadn't paid too much attention to until these letters went out from the local schools telling people they had a plan in place for a worst-case scenario. So back us up. This is just north of 70, west of 270, where you've got nuclear waste from where? How did it get there in the first place?
It's from early uranium processing activities that took place in St. Louis for the Manhattan Project, which is what created the first atomic bomb.
World War II era stuff we've got buried out there.
Yeah, and it was illegally dumped there in the 70s by a contractor that was supposed to dispose of it. They dumped it in the landfill. Eventually, the EPA and other parties figured out that it was there, and it's been sitting there. People have known about it for decades. It's really since this fire, underground chemical reaction, people differ on what you call it, has started in the last couple of years that it's really raised the profile.
So around 2010 or so, people found out about this. There's the adjacent Bridgeton landfill. They're all kind of right there next to Westlake and Bridgeton, or next to each other under the Bridgeton landfill. Like you said, people differ. It's not technically a fire because I guess there's not oxygen getting to it, but nevertheless, there is heat, and it may or may not be moving toward that nuclear material at the Westlake site.
That's right. That's the concern, and the thing is, nobody really knows what would happen if this, fire, underground heat event interacts with the nuclear waste in the Westlake landfill.
And the Attorney General just came out, in addition to the concern that these emergency plans may be generated, the Attorney General just came out with a report that says, in fact, he believes this fire, for lack of a better word, is moving toward the nuclear waste.
He has said that. The State Department of Natural Resources and some of their consultants have said they believe indicators show that the fire is moving north towards the Westlake landfill. However, the owner of the site, Republic Services, they are adamant that they have it under control. They've spent millions of dollars putting in infrastructure and things that's supposed to reduce the heat level in the landfill, and they say they have it under control. So you've got two sides. They're in litigation with each other, so it's hard to tell, when you have that kind of he said, she said.
And you mentioned the EPA. Even the EPA doesn't always agree with other agencies. The EPA says what most recently about this situation?
Well, the EPA has said, not in the last month or two, but has said they think, that the fire is contained. It's not, moving north towards Westlake at this point. And that's kind of the latest.
So what do we make of the fact that in the last just a few days, we've had not only the school districts have put out emergency plans, but also it became public knowledge that for the past year or so, the county, St. Louis County, had an emergency plan that included phrases like worst case scenario of a radioactive plume spreading over the. Is there something to make of these plans becoming public? Does this mean the situation is changing in any way?
Well, the county executive, Steve Stenger, says, No, the fact that this emergency plan has been released doesn't mean anything has changed. He says they released it because they were asked for it by the media, and they wanted to show that they're thinking about worst-case scenarios, and that's the only reason it's been released. They've been talking about putting that plan together, it just hasn't, a copy of it hadn't been available. But they've been talking along with fire districts in the area, the county, the Department of Natural Resources, EPA, Republic Services. They've all been talking about putting this, plan together just in case. So it's been out there, and it's a year old, actually. It was complete in 2014.
And you mentioned what happens if this heat fire reaches the nuclear material. Do we know? Has anyone given a definitive answer, or do any two agencies agree on what will or will not happen? There have been some scary language out there when people talk about what may or may not happen.
Yeah, the what was contained in the county plan, that seems to be what really kind of raised the profile of this and kind of scared a lot of people. But the EPA has not really said, what would happen if the fire reaches the radioactive waste. They have given some details on what they think might happen. They say it would probably increase radon gas. If anything, they've said they don't think the actual radioactive material, radon would be a byproduct of the material that's there, the uranium and the thorium. But they've said they don't believe the actual radioactive material would be spread by, a plume of smoke or steam or gas.
And just to be really clear, is there any chance of an explosion?
EPA has said they do not believe there's a chance for explosion. They have said they think there could be a risk if the fire reaches there for radioactive material to be spread via groundwater. That appears to be more of a concern than aerial transport. And other scientific experts have said that as well.
And of course, a lot of people, in your reporting, you found yes or no that people are happy with the EPA?
There's a lot of frustration with the EPA just because, I guess, of how long they have had jurisdiction over this site and the seeming lack of progress. The EPA in 2008 came up with a proposed decision, a proposed remedy for what to do, and they proposed covering the Westlake landfill. And people did not like that idea. They thought if you cover it, it could still leave via the groundwater. They wanted it removed. Most people in the area want to see it removed. And so the EPA took a step back and said, all right, we'll re-examine this. But that was in 2008. That was 7 years ago. People are, understandably frustrated.
And of course, the story, it seems like there are never any simple answers. There's even risk involved with removing nuclear waste in terms of transport and things like that people bring up as well. So there never seems to be a cut and dry answer from any angle you look at it.
Well, there's concern about, if you dig it up, there's the airport, Lambert Airport, is concerned if you dig it up, there could be birds attracted to the landfill that might put flights in danger because of birds. It backs up pretty close to the airport. The Bridgeton landfill actually closed to accommodate the new runway at Lambert Airport. So.